So, Brad, you're more well known for being on the first Big Brother in South Africa. I think it was like in 2000 or 2001. I remember I was just about
2001.
to,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was just in
2001
high
August.
school. Yeah,
Yeah.
high school at the time. And you were known as Bad Brad back then. And I see you're still Bad Brad on this particular live stream. But since then, you largely disappeared from the public life. But you've done an incredible amount of work, an incredible amount of business since then. And now it appears you are quite involved in the security industry and crime prevention to some degree. So can you just give us a snapshot of your life since that Big Brother, whatever series at the time?
So Big Brother was in August 2021. I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 last year, September. I've always been involved in, before that, I was in Parliament with Jenny Janwala, first female parliamentary speaker. What do you call them again? Anyway, she was in charge of Parliament. And then from Big Brother, I went into the private sector and started security. I always had a passion for dogs. I then started the canine units. We've been in the airports now for just on close 20 years, just under 20 years. We work very closely with the bomb squads and all the rest of it, and CIA registered. But apart from that, there's another few companies. I don't want to get too much into those companies, but we've got on the security side of things, we've also got a security company, and we've got what we call armored drive. So we've got a whole lot of armored vehicles out there, the specialized guys driving high net worth guys around, tourists and the rest of it. So currently the group employs just under 500 people. Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers. Let's say 450 around there. But we're quite a big operation. Well, big operation in my eyes. Big to what I've built. You know, obviously the Fidelities of the world are 86,000, but that's generational and generational and they can keep their 86,000. 500 drives
Yeah.
me mad. I don't know how they do 86,000, but good luck to them. Um,
So, I mean, 500 employees is more than sufficient, especially in South Africa that is relatively hostile to business. I noticed there's a strapping weapon behind you. So I assume that you have seen quite a few things during the course of your lifetime. Now that you're, if I may say, an expert in security, so to speak, what is the situation at the moment in South Africa around crime, crime prevention, and violent crime against people? Is it worse than ever? What's going on?
well, brother, let's go back to a situation where the guys remember the Aurora mines. The Aurora mines back in 2010, I already put out the alert to the Becky Telliers of the world and all the rest of it saying, guys, we got trouble here. Becky Tellier not being a minister then, he was the national commissioner. We've got trouble. I could start seeing from then, it was just starting to snowball. You know, when I went underground, we had that big situation. Found not guilty on all counts of murder, by the way. Although I've read stories where I'm dead, I got shot, I'm in jail, and fuck whatever else. Not that. I had a full bench, 3 judges, not guilty. So let's just put that to bed right now. It's just got more violent, much more violent, and the amount where society's become, you're in my way, I'm going to take you out. And we're not keeping up. And when I say we, I'm talking about the legal guys, the police, and all the rest of it. Just before we went on, we were speaking about when I read on Twitter and I get so angry when policemen are running away from a situation. I agree with those policemen. Those policemen in that van that based at the station are there for complaints, domestic violence, housebreaking, theft of motor vehicle, theft of cell phone. They're not trained to walk into a situation where they're doing an ATM bombing with 20 specialized guys from all over Africa, maybe South Africa, Zimbabwe, Nigeria, Congo, wherever it is. I would also run away. It's called preservation of life. You're going to get your mother handed to you. I promise you, they're going to kill you. And everybody complains that. And I hold government, and I'm saying from the ANC to the DA to whoever's in parliament, I hold them all accountable. Ian Cameron, actually, I hold you accountable. You meant to be this portfolio committee. You meant to make these things right. There's no training. Do you know how many times I'm on a weekly, we go out? I'm not going to mention the unit that I'm realigned to. We were speaking about this before, but there's a group of us called the Bobs. It's got lawyers, professional athletes, ex-special task force unit, some military guys, private investigator. But anyway, we're all professionals in our game. You know how many times we'll go to a scene or we'll go to a situation and a policeman will come up to me and ask me for ammunition. Say, hey, boss, do you have some ammo for me? And not being cheeky or not being thing, they're not getting. So if he's not getting ammo, that's telling me he's not going out to range to shoot. You know, it blows my mind. And the criminals know this and they're taking advantage of it. And then the other side of the coin, where you've got the good cop, you've got too many bad cops. Every situation we've been to, from a constable to a higher ranking officer, somebody's involved, somebody's getting arrested. And it's just becoming a clusterfuck at right now. And again, I'm talking to the Ian Camerons of the world, and I'm talking to the Senzos of the world, the Minister Senzos and that. Because they need to do something. They need to start training. They're losing all the good guys. And then I'm sure the argument is going to be, oh, but you guys in the private sector are stealing them. Well, we've seen the worth. I see the worth in the ex-special task force member, Pomio Kont or Leo Princely. Other two guys that have joined our team now. There's another one joining our team. They're not getting the satisfaction and the training and the backup that they need. So why let them waste there? We bring them into the private sector and they're doing great. And that's what we're doing.
So what I've noticed, and I don't think this is controversial to say, it seems like syndicates, mafias, gangsters are becoming more professional every single year. So I remember growing up in the 90s, crime was very high, but it seemed largely disorganized and it seemed largely interpersonal. But here, 20 years later, it does appear to me that there are entrenched mafias, entrenched gangsters, from the Zamazamas to the drug dealing to the human trafficking. And these people are, it's almost a sort of Colombian Mexican situation where they have filled the power vacuum left open by the state. Are you feeling that as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's think of a cancer cell. The cancer cell, if you just look at it like a cancer, I don't know if you can see it's your fist, right? Then you get what they call margins. And those margins start to grow into everything. They start getting into your body to spread the cancer and the rest of it. And that's exactly organized crime. It's a cancer. It's a fucking disease. So what it does is it latches on, it gets into the country, it does what it is, and slowly, like an octopus, the tentacles go into everything. And they get into justice, they get into the police, they get into home affairs, they get into the fabrics of the community. And slowly they just infiltrate everything. And then when there's a situation, knock, knock, it's time for you to help. Because that policeman or that minister or that community leader or whoever it is has taken something from them. No free lunch, my brother. There's no such thing as a fucking free lunch. Let me tell you now. There's no, and to all ladies out there, when someone says, I want to take you out for dinner, there's no such thing as a free fucking dinner either. There is always an end goal to something. You know what I'm saying? There's always an end goal. And it's the same thing there. That I was giving you a Coca-Cola or a 10,000 Rand, he's coming knocking on your door later. And that's what's happening. These guys have realized the power of money, the power of corruption, and all they're going to do is slowly, hello, my brother, hello, my China, hello, whatever the fuck they call you. Here's a little something. You thinking, great, I've got some money for the weekend to take out the dolly or to spoil the family, whatever the fuck you're thinking. They're coming back to collect. It's like anything. The bank don't give you a loan and say, hey, go on a holiday and fuck, it's on us. They give you the money, but at the end of the month, they're coming to collect with interest. And that's what exactly is happening here. And all these guys are doing is just going, spreading their tentacles wide, and then they're collecting. And that's it. It's getting very organized.
It is getting very organized. And in return, I suspect people like you who are in the security industry need to be much more organized as well. What, in that regard, like, what is your relationship with the state, with the Hawks or Special Forces or any of the state apparatus that is meant to combat crime? How do they view you as the private sector?
Well, so this is where we're going to get a little bit controversial now. So we're going to be swearing some people and we're going to be praising some others. The guys on the ground, and like we've agreed before, I'm not going to mention names, but there's a colonel and a general that we report to. Fucking salt of the earth, boss. They will break their backs to get the job done. And I'm sure you guys have just read an article now of certain people being rescued and all the rest of it. that there was an operation that started 2 weeks ago. Every day and every night, the guys were on it. They were on it. They were on it. They were on it. They were on it. Well, that Lati's now at home with his family. You know what I'm saying? Now, those guys there, we've got a good, solid relationship. We understand each other. We understand as the private sector, we're not the police. We don't want to be the police. We don't pretend to be the police. We become like in your little onion. We become an outer ring of support to the police. Whatever's going to happen, whatever we ask to be given, and it's in the Police Act, if you're an able body between the ages of 16 and 60 and of sound mind, if you're given an instruction by a policeman, a lawful instruction, it's your duty to carry that instruction out. There we go. We covered. And in saying that, the guys on the ground, we've got a great relationship. But then we get to the clowns at the top, and then I'm going to again mention his name, Ian Cameron, who's meant to be the portfolio committee, who's meant to be an independent body. He's busy having his fucking private fights with the General Q and this general and that general and fucking going, hey, brother, fucking catch a wake up. The people on the ground, the South African citizens that you represent are the ones suffering. Yesterday, some lady was getting beaten up in town. Nobody went there to help her. There's rapes. There's more murders in this country than there is in fucking Ukraine where they're dropping bombs, but I think there's more murders than what they had in the Marion old Donald Trump bombed the shit out of the Houthis. We got more murders and rapes and violent crime in South Africa every fucking day than any other country in the world. And yet these fuckers are having their little arguments about generals and taking out personal vendettas. My brother, from me to you, you're an independent body, meaning representing the South Africans. Put your fucking ego aside, put your cock back in your pants and fucking help the people on the ground, because that's the people that are suffering every single day. And it's the poor people. It's the poor oak out there that unfortunately doesn't know a policeman. Unfortunately, is not connected. Unfortunately, is pretty much every day hand to mouth, doing his little bit, paying his taxes, being a law-abiding citizen that's getting fucked. And that is my aggravation with the state. The guys at the top, they don't give a fuck about us. We eat the crumbs. We fix up their mess. But hey, it's like that story of the cake. They eat the icing, but at least eat the cake. These motherfuckers are eating the icing, eating the cake, and then stealing the fucking dish. And then that's what's happening. So the poor oaks at the bottom aren't getting bullets, bulletproofs, training, getting fuck all. So what happens? They get disheartened. Some decide to leave, and then they come join the private sector. Or the others become corrupt. And I'm not saying all of them. And then the other guys will just carry on saying, hey, let's just do what we can. Let's do what we can. Let's do what we can. And then that poor bugger gets driven into an ATM bombing or a CRT bombing and gets shot to shit. And then we have a little in remembrance and all the rest of it. But what has the state done? Let the state come and prove to me, or not to me, to the citizens of South Africa. What has the state done to empower the guys at the police station to do what's good for those guys? What training have they gone on? Fuck all, brother. But I'll tell you, the private sector, we've got to do Regulation 21 shoots. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. We've got to be compliant. We've got to, and every 3 months, we gain on, like I was referring to this Bob's group, we're continuously training. We're continuously doing chopper drills the other day with Leo. We continue that now in May. We're going to go for 5 days and just do CQB, house clearance and Overwatch. So we're continuously training to see what's going to happen next. And we're far behind, boss. We're far behind. The intelligence, these criminals are just, like, I don't know. It's actually just, I don't want to start crying and I start talking about this shit.
Yeah, I can understand. But do you know a chap called Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador?
El Salvador, I won't say I know his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so he's the president, and El Salvador was classified as the most crime-ridden, murder rate country in the entire world, and he cleaned it up within the course of 2 years through a state of emergency with his own specially trained militia. Okay, they're part of the army, fair enough, but
absolutely,
I think there was an understanding in El Salvador that the average police officer is meant to deal with sort of interpersonal contact crimes, whereas the MS-13 gangsters are like super weaponized, like super evil, super satanic, and they would just murder anyone within sight that has a police uniform on. So
Absolutely.
he actually made El Salvador a lot safer by having a state of emergency and having specially trained troops to just round up everyone and actually incarcerate them. Also suspended the constitution and various things like that, which I don't mind whatsoever. But it does give you a template and a blueprint for what sort of needs to be done in South Africa. But I just don't know under the leadership whether we should trust them at all with that sort of thing. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, half our army's pregnant, which we saw in the DRC. The other half are also they're not happy. I can tell you, I speak to the guys on a regular basis. Again, they're not. Look how they were begging to come home from the Congo. You know what I'm saying? Look at the way they were treated and left to live. Like, are you joking? Are you absolutely joking? And then we get told, no, they're there protecting minerals for some high-powered minister, government official. And we had the same thing as Marikana. So like a little bit of this, a trend going on here. But go look at their training. Okay, listen, there are some special forces in the army. There's one particular guy that I do know. He's on courses and they're getting great training. But they're against the selective few. Listen, to wake up. I don't even know the exact numbers. 48 or 60 million or how many South Africans there are. That small can't protect everybody. It's up to us as the South Africans to protect the South Africans, us as the citizens. And I'm not talking xenophobia and all the rest of it. If you're here and you're legal and all the rest of it, South African or not, and you're within the country and you love the country and you're willing to abide by the laws and the rest of it, it's up to us, to protect each other, because we ain't going to get it from the state. And again, when I say the state, I don't want people thinking that I'm bashing the ANC and that. I'm bashing the whole fucking lot of them in Parliament, boss. I'm going ANC, DA, PA, fucking EFF, all of them. I'm bashing the whole lot of them. So the South Africans, unfortunately, it's got to a point where I just feel that we're on our own. You fend for yourself.
I was at that point quite a number of years ago as well. We had armed robbery at our house, and the two guys turned out to be crime intelligence officers. It's like, oops, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And that was over a decade ago. So since then, I'm like, yeah, I don't trust anyone. But I mean, Brad, you're in the security industry. I assume that you do excellent work. You've got a great team of people. I mean, what are you doing other than the training and all that sort of stuff to try to ameliorate the situation, knowing full well, I mean, these are private companies with private people. It's already difficult running a business in this country already. Like, what would your advice be to people out there, ordinary citizens, to sort of defend themselves against this?
So, listen, look, I'm referring back to Leo. Leo has got a program called the Lone Wolf. Guys, it's just a simple thing. Rather have it and never have to use it than not have it and have to use it. And that goes for a gun, that goes for training, that goes for a mindset, that goes for anything in life. If the neighbors are looking after each other, if your block looks after each other, what's going to happen is that criminal is going to move on to the next block. So, you know, the thing in security is make sure my house is not, you're not going to break into my house, you're going to break into my neighbor's house. That's up to my neighbor now to make sure he's protected, that you break into the next guy. So you just move the crime away. And that's basically all I can really say is we need to get to know each other. We need to start protecting each other. And if you've seen a lady getting beaten up or bashed, or you've seen an armed robbery, okay, not an armed robbery because you could get shot or something, but if you see something that you can help, guys, get together and help. But like I was watching a video last night where some lady in town is getting mobbed by a whole lot of guys and fucking are videoing it and nobody's helping her. And I'm going like, what the fuck, guys? 10 of you that are videoing it, because I'm watching the video, have to storm that, they're going to run away. They left that lady ASAP. I think it was a colored lady, if I remember correctly. And then she just jumped out the car and started making a noise, and then the guys dispersed. But for about 2 minutes, everybody stood back and watched. That's the problem in South Africa. We're not willing to help each other. And the quicker we start helping each other, the quicker we're going to be to stand together.
Yeah, this is something that I picked up in. I went to Orania about 18 months ago. And Orania, you can say what you want about it, but it is a community of people who help each other. That's essentially the whole point of it. They're very
That's
suspicious
it.
of outsiders. But when you go into Orania, I mean, there's no fences, there's no gates. Everyone knows each other. They all employ each other. I'm not saying we all need to go like full balkanization and try get out of, make South Africa not a state by any means. But I think as an example to use, Orania, gated communities. I mean, even I remember watching a documentary in Kimberley where you have a sort of local militia made up of teachers and police officers and little business owners, and they used to patrol like every night in shifts with a
Yeah,
baton and like some zip ties. And
yeah.
crime went down in that township in Kimberley. So I mean, it can be done. Just get off your ass.
Get off your ass, but get off your ass. Get you know what? There's no better intelligence source than the community. That mama sitting on the fucking stoop, that old lady sitting on the stoop, wherever, the corner cafe, those guys know what's going on in their community. There's no better intelligence from a community that will stand together and drive those people out. I promise you, they'll be gone. And again, drive them on to the next community that drives them out, and then finally let them get dealt with. Drive them down to Natal. Let General Mkonazi's boys deal with these oaks. You know what I'm saying? He seems to be the only oak who's got the fucking balls to say, hey, this is the law. Stand by the law, or you're going to get what's coming to you. If it's jail, death, or whatever the fuck it is, your choice. But if you're not a law-abiding citizen, we're going to deal with you. That's the mindset we need to get everywhere. But the problem is, we've got the General Mkonazi that side, but we've got a bunch of fucking crooks this side. That's the problem. We need more Mkonazis. And I know he's going through a little bit of a pressing at the moment, but I think it's a witch hunt. That's my personal opinion. He's doing the job, boss. The stats are there. You want to fuck around, we're going to show you. And I agree with him.
I also agree with him, but I just feel like there's been a neutering of people's capacity to do something. So I went to law school, got my LB a number of years ago, and I remember there was a case in 1960 about a guy who primed a shotgun in his shop to go off if someone came to rob, and someone did come rob, and the guy got shot automatically through the shotgun trap. And the court at the time said, no, this is a legitimate use of force to protect your doctrine, to protect your castle, so to speak. It was called the stand your ground or castle doctrine. But that's been gone now. Under the constitution of the country since 1994, I just feel like a lot of the protections people had to defend themselves have been taken away. The lawful manner of defense has been taken away. And once the lawful manner is taken away, people struggle to go to sort of unlawful means to defend themselves. Just for example, I know people in the gun community, quite a lot of them, gun community, and they get 10 rand from some gogo in a township in wherever, Vosloorus. Her husband left her a 38 special from 1937 with 6 bullets in it, but she gives 10 rand a month to the gun ownership community forum, whatever the case might be, because they are protecting her gun rights. But I just feel there's been a huge disempowerment of citizens since 1994 to defend themselves mentally and physically. And I think we're seeing the repercussions of that right now.
Yeah. So, you know what is it? What is domestic violence? Domestic violence, you got a guy that beats his wife, makes her feel like she's worthless, and she must depend on him. That he's the begin all and end all of everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, beat the fuck out of her, and she's submissive to you, and she'll never leave you, and all the rest of it. And that's pretty much what the states do. Like, beat the fuck out of the citizens, get them pushed down, suppress them, that they can't protect them, and they've got to say, please help us, please help us, please. That there's always a dependence on them. You know, that the whole thing divide and conquer. That's what's pretty much happening here. Like, well, fuck it. Let's move the guys across. Let's conquer this thing. And we're the big bad wolf. Anything happens, we'll deal with it. Meanwhile, it's them fucking creating all the chaos. So I agree. Yeah, totally. It's mad. You know, I understand you can't shoot a lackey that's stolen a cell phone running out of a car park, and you shoot the bloke and he's back for a cell phone. You know, I can understand where that's all coming from. But if that lackey knew that you could shoot him, or that thief, let me say not lackey, that thief knew that you could shoot him, the chances of him stealing their cell phone are going to be minimal. It's like a poor doctor. When I say poor doctor, poor or not, it depends how you look at it. That was in Durban. That watched those guys breaking into his house, and he laid down and he shot the guy. He's now serving life sentences because he didn't call the police, he didn't activate his alarm, and all the rest of it. And he waited for them to come in. Premeditated murder. Was that right? Was that wrong? Well, it's a good argument. It's a good debate. If they had alerted the guy, they probably would have run away. But then the next day they would have gone and robbed somebody else, and maybe they'll end up murdering that person. First of all, they should never have been in your house. They should never have broken into a house. That's the fact number one. So what do you do? Like, what do you actually do?
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think if you go to somewhere like Florida, they got the stand your ground rules, which is a very simple rule to understand. If you're threatened and you don't back away, you're allowed to use lethal force. You don't have to back away. There's no obligation or duty on you to back away. And I think that sort of rule applied to South Africa very well for decades and decades and decades. And I think it's something that's even more relevant today than ever before. So you'll need to change that sort of legislation for it to happen. But speaking about you, Brad, as someone in the security industry, like, what are the trends that you are seeing in terms of organized crime, the methods they use? What are the materials they use in terms of what are they trafficking? Like, what are the trends that you're seeing over the past decade or so?
Well, it's got a lot more violent, a lot more ruthless, and they're using anything that they can use. You know, they're from emotional blackmail, from guns and violence, like I just said. There's nothing's off hands. You know what I'm saying? They will do anything. They need to get that money out of you. They're going to get it out of you, no matter how. They're going to shoot. If they want that cell phone, they're going to shoot you for that cell phone. So the trends now, we saw a lot of petty crime with a little bit of violence, armed robberies. I remember back in the day in Durban, we knew Thursday afternoon, guaranteed armed robberies, guaranteed. Anyway, we were checked, we were ready for these armed robberies. One or two would come, but it wasn't as hectic. The last bad armed robbery I can remember was that massive shooting we had in the KFC in West Street. It was like back then in the flying squad days. That was like the worst of the worst in the police. There was a hectic scene with the KFC West Street. Now it's every fucking hour that you're putting on shooting, this shooting, that shooting. Listening to the Oaks in Cape Town. Now the Oaks are running across a playfield and they're shooting the shit out of each other. It's just got so violent. Stabbings. Like, it's so easy for a guy. I don't know if you saw the last video in Plettenberg Bay. There's two people walking, elderly people. Oak walked past them, stabbed the cock out of them, robbed them, and off he went. Okay, he's been arrested. But there's no more. I don't know what words. Humanity. That's the word. 100%. There's no more. Now it's fuck you. You're in my way, or fuck you. You've got to watch it. I want to wear, or I can sell, or whatever it is, and they're going to bang you for it. That's ruthless, boss.
So I think that's a good description of the sort of ordinary crime, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But what are the big guys doing? The big syndicates, the big mafias.
Kidnapping, drugs, and drugs. Yeah, if I can put the human trafficking, kidnapping, and drugs. If I can put the three biggest, if I had to sit down and go, hey, we need a task team for this, it'll be those three. The guys are making much more. I'm sure you've seen CRTs are still happening, but on a much lower scale than what it used to be. Because now it's easier for me, less risk, less problems. So I've got a grab team that stops, grabs the victim. This grab team meets somebody, another gang comes and bars that victim. So this victim's gone down the route of 3 or 4 different gangs. And then they're asking 6 million, 10 million, 20 million, Bitcoin here, Bitcoin there, fucking money, Dubai or Mozambique or whatever it is. For doing what? For me to change somebody to a bed, make sure nobody knows where they is, and feed them. The traumatic that the poor victim goes through is hectic, but think about it. How quick is it to grab somebody? One day you should do it. Yeah, one day do a little thing on your podcast. We obviously plan it properly and that. I'll even give you a grab team, a team that will come and snatch that person. and watch how fast it happens. And nobody will even know they've been snatched. And then just show it. And that's how quick these guys are. And then once they've got you, they're going to make millions. And they do make millions. Okay, some unfortunately are stupid and they're the copycats, but the guys that know what they're doing, the organized crime, the syndicates that are clued up to what they're doing are like well-oiled machines. They do it so professionally. Okay, you get the odd one or two fucking idiots that go around, grab a child and they want 10,000 rand, and he finds from his mom's cell phone or something stupid. You're going to catch him, 100%. But the oaks that know what they're doing, let me tell you, I don't know if you know about that one poor chap, I'm not going to mention names, in Cape Town. I think he was 108 days in captivity. They grabbed him here in Johannesburg. He landed up in Cape Town. I don't know the too much of the facts of that, but like 100 plus days. It's madness. So kidnapping, human trafficking, and drugs. Drugs on a large scale, but then it still filters through. Obviously, we got the ISIS and the terrorism and all the rest of it in Mozambique, and all the heroin that's coming down that's been sold to fund it, and the kidnapping that's been funding this war. So it all joins in together. So we've been very lucky, touch wood, that we don't have any terrorism acts because we're like the financial hub for these guys. But yeah, if I had to put down, it would be those three.
And these people that you fight them sort of on a daily basis, if I may say so, who are they? Like, how do we? Is there a specific? How can I explain? A specific group of people, or is there a specific plan in motion that they tend to use all the time? How can ordinary members of the public know who they're dealing with in these situations?
Almost this is now my personal thing. I'm not talking any stats, and I'm not any. My personal experience: Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, and the Mozambican boys and the Zims. The Zims more the violent crime, and they're the snatch guys and that. But I'd say that element there, and more in the Somalian and Ethiopian, that sort of how would we say it?
Horn of Africa.
Horn of Africa, pretty much. Yeah. Horn of Africa.
So, in your experience, you're not making a disparaging comment, sort of globally about people, but in your specific experience in dealing with these people and fighting them, you're finding that often they are not sort of local people. Is that correct?
Well, now we go back. We are getting local people, and a lot of the time, the local people is the fucking policeman or the Home Affairs or somebody. But there will be a local component to this group. But the guys that are calling the shots and the guys that are doing everything are usually those guys, But there will be the odd local guy involved. I don't say the odd because there's always usually locals involved. But they're the guys that have been pulled in. They're the labourer. They're the guys being pulled in to say, hey, come. This is what you do.
They're not the head honcho, the head strategist,
no,
the leader, right? They're just they're just helping out. But are you finding that like the sort of, if there was a mafia, like the Godfather, it tends to be someone who's foreign?
Foreign, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. And who based on your experience once again, who are they targeting? Like, I know there was a crime wave against like Portuguese butchers in particular. I know in the Muslim community it's quite bad. Muslim men being kidnapped and held for ransom. There was a very famous case 2, 3, 4 years ago. I think 50 million rand had to be paid over or was not paid over. I actually don't know the details, but it seems to be they target certain sectors of our society, and I assume it's sectors that are in a sort of cash-rich environment. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, East. Absolutely. So you know what? They're not stupid. Don't for 1 second think they're stupid. They're watching the guys. They got the inside information. They know. Okay, listen, a butcher works cash. Liquor stores work cash. Anything with cash or anybody that can get you cash, especially your Bitcoin and your currency and all the rest of it, also a problem. They're shop. Now they're saying, give me Bitcoin or give me USDT or whatever it is. But yeah, I think about it. If I'm coming after you, I'm not going to come after you now and you got fuck all. Or what's that going to help? You know what I'm saying? I'm coming after you because I know I know you've got something. and I know I'm going to get something out of you. Although you might not have the money, but I know mom or dad or sister or brother or wife or fuck whoever, they've got the money. We'll go after them. We'll get somebody where we'll get the money from them.
And who are their touts? Who are their spies that they tell them, okay, this is the guy to target? Is it like employees of
I'll
that
be honest.
person?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, brother. There, I don't want to comment because I don't know. I'll stay
Okay,
out of that side of the things. I don't carry dockets. I don't get involved in intelligence gathering.
of course.
We don't get involved in any of that crap. You know, the less you know about that shit, the less it clouds your mind. There's a target, there's a situation, go for it and protect it. And that's from helping with the bobs and to looking after the people we look after. You know, we look after very high end with individuals or individuals that have gone through a traumatic situation. We've got one guy now, I don't want to mention who he is, but he was shot the fuck out of, just shot to shit. Anyway, he got to live. And we sit with them, we ID the threat, and primary, we look after him. And then we start going out for the threat. You know, I don't want to be 60 still looking after fucking people. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if we can get it, sort out the problem, get that person into jail, or hopefully push him into Natal where General Mkonazi can do what he's got to do, lekker. But that's how, so those part of the things we don't really get involved in. There, we'll push it out to the experts. I'm not an intelligence officer. I'm not a detective that can carry the docket. I'm the fucking knuckle guy that drags his knuckles. We go stand there, do our thing, and we fuck off. And that's exactly it. And that goes from the bobs right down to work. We get the job done, and we leave. We're on to the next job. And that's how we operate. Yeah. So
No,
I'll
of
be honest
course,
with you, how and where they get the info. Personally, when back in the days when I was driving around on van duty and the rest of it, and it'd be a house breaking, it would be the maid, the garden service, the gardener, or the next door or something. There would be someone who'd give the information. But for these big profiles, it makes sense they'd have to have somebody on the inside. Who knows? Well, the other day we saw a thing where the guy's wife had him kidnapped. I don't know if you saw that story. The wife
really.
was involved in the guy's kidnapping. So, fuck it. It could even be somebody very close to you or just somebody that's watching from the outside or an employee that I can't tell you.
But in general, as a general principle, your advice to people, I think, would be like, don't be flashy, right?
No.
Keep a low profile, make money, but don't act like you got it. I mean, I assume those sort of straightforward things are what you would suggest to most people watching
Yeah.
this.
So let's look at me. I'm a simpleton, singleton. So simple. I'm in a tracksuit every day, or if I'm not in a tracksuit, I'm in a uniform or a pair of jeans. Nothing flash. Go overseas the same. If you want to be a bit flash, great. And then, so simpleton, singleton. I'll go eat alone. I'll go do things alone. I'll be alone. I'll travel alone. And then I don't have any hassles. So nobody knows my movements. Fuck it. I wake up sometimes in the morning. I don't know my own movements. The day will just progress into like a shit show, And that's what I just say. Keep it simple. Keep it normal. And just be a singleton. Just be a normal oak. You don't have to have fucking 100 people around you because there's going to be that one oak or that one chick or that one fucking whatever that's going to lie you and you're going to get shafted. And don't invite people to your house. If you're going to meet, obviously your close friends and family, sure. But keep the minimum people coming to your house, knowing your movements, knowing your things about your kids, this Facebook and all this other shit. Don't put stuff on that because you're just educating the people.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. I see people like, oh, here's a grade 1. We're so happy. Here's like a school uniform. I'm like, guys, I know exactly where your child is for 8 hours of the day now. And I'm a nice guy. Like, imagine the bad guys knowing this information. It's crazy.
Or you got some fucking consul with the Richard Mill pouring champagne over his watch with his registration at the back of it on his car. Like, wow, fuck, all right, this guy's got a 20 million rand watch. He's got a bottle of Ace, and he's driving the fucking Porsche 911, whatever. Okay, give it to one of your Chinas that can pull a registration. This is the address. Guess what, brother? We coming to visit you. Stop that shit. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid shit.
Yeah, no, it really is. So I think people might be surprised that You were seen as whatever bad Brad on Big Brother. I was too young to remember. I just remember the name. I remember the show at the time. Reality TV was quite big, and now you are like this sort of super serious, hardcore expert on security and crime prevention and things like that. Why have you stepped out of the limelight, if I may ask?
Brother. So bad Brad happened. It was a risk. It's a funny story. My partner was going to do it. He just got married. His wife was going to get divorced. She told him, "You enter that fucking show, you're divorced." I took the application, got into it. Anyway, I did it. Loved it. I won't lie to anybody. Loved it. I had my controversies, carried on, blah, blah, blah. And you get to a point where you just say, okay, lekker. That was a chapter of my life. I've done it. I've enjoyed it. Superstar, paid stupid fucking amounts of money. Boom. Stop. You're not fucking 20. I think I was 26 at the time. You're not 26 anymore. You're now like 30. All right. What's the next chapter? What do you do next? And my love has always been law enforcement, security, canines, and all the rest of it. I was just very fortunate to be in a certain place at a certain time where all the guys were fucking off to Iraq to play in the sand with dogs and getting paid this ridiculous amount of money. 9/11 happened. They needed dogs. I had dogs. Fucking loved every second of it. ICAO enforced, hey, you need to put dogs. Hey, guess what? Here's an opportunity. So canine law enforcement was born. And then I just realized, you know what? Fuck it. Everybody, you go walking with your dog to do a serious bomb search or a bomb. What these fucking idiots that phone in? What you say? The other assholes that will phone in a bomb scare or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you'll have some old penny who run up to you and like she wants to have a photo of you or a signature and I just like slowly phased out of that. Realized where we were going. Realized that the dogs could go to another level because South Africa never really specialized. You know, we always every oak with a gun was a security guard or a reaction officer, whatever it is, but nobody really specialized in the canines. And I've actually got to say thank you to all my canines that past and present, to my canine team. We wouldn't be where we are today without the canines. I've got to say thank you to AXA, to the Civil Aviation, because they gave me that opportunity. And I'm going to say thank you to all the policemen that decided to fuck off to Dubai, not to Dubai, to Iraq, and left this massive void. And we were like, all right, here's an opportunity. So we took advantage of it. We deploy over 100 dog teams a day now. We've got a top class training facility. And that's what we do. We do narcotic searches every night at places. I'm not going to say where. We do a lot of fines and all the rest of it. And it's still a passion. I still get like so fucking happy inside and watching those dog successes, watching the dogs train, watching the guys working with their dogs. So yeah, so basically just slowly phased out. I've got a great, again, I don't want to mention names in that, but I've got a great team that's running the canines. Then from the canines, like the watches that you're wearing or anything of high value and the rest of it, we got involved into that. And then from that, we got involved in the security where I've always swore to God I'd stay away from guarding. But unfortunately, with the service that we were giving, our clients were saying, well, now we need the guarding. So we'd give them a one pack. And then the training school would come into it. So it's actually a group of companies that have just come in and it's working well. It's working very well, which allows me now to go fuck around with the Bob team and do our thing, you know?
And tell me a little bit about sort of, you have this thing, Uber Armor or something like that. You've got it's basically an Uber service, but the Armor, you got bulletproof cars. That's a link.
Yes.
Well, what is that, Uber Armor? Because you followed me on X and I saw it. I was like, this is actually pretty cool. How does it work?
So it's actually, because Uber's such a shit show at the moment now, and they've got such a bad reputation. I've changed it now. So that's called now Armor Drive. And then I've got another company, of course, called Uber Kid, where parents are fucking concerned. Some parents have got 3 kids, and then some poor mom would have to have 1 kid at hockey, 1 kid at tennis, and 1 kid at soccer. It couldn't happen. So what we then did is we started getting profiled guys, got them checked up, got them checked, profiled, all right, they're good to go. So if mom couldn't get Johnny to soccer, we would do that for her. And she'd get a message, Johnny's at soccer, Claire's at netball, this one's there, that one's there. And it was working. It's actually, it still is. It was doing fucking great. And then we started hearing about the hits. And then one of Ian Levitt, that's my saving grace. And I must shout out to Ian. I got his permission to use his name. Ian Levitt's my
Great
brother
lawyer.
and the best fucking lawyer, my brother. And I love him to bits. And what happened was one day one of his attorneys was attacked on the way to court. And I turned around and I said, fuck it. How would we do something where we can protect him? And we were in his office, in his boardroom, and Uber Armour was born. And while we said Uber Armour, we were hoping Uber was going to sue us because we would have got 5 years of free advertising and then changed the fucking name. But unfortunately, Uber fucked that up for us and just got a bad name on its own. So we said, all right, let's just really think about this fucking Uber story. And we called it Armour Drive. So, we've got about, I'd say 12, 13. We've just bought another vehicle now, 14 from V-Classes to X5s to LC300s. And these cars are long leases, or otherwise you'll go on the app and you'll download and you'll get picked up and we'll drop off people. Guys would want it. Also, especially the sparking. Everybody's planning a sparking. We'd pick up the kids or pick up the family, take them to the venue. They'd have a great jaw. Mom and dad can have a bottle of wine, get back in the car, and they get taken home. So there is a guy from the task force. That's his division. That's what he looks after. And it's running beautifully. It's great. So we just look for what would the people need, and pretty much all we've really done on the Armour Drive side is if Uber was charging you $200, we charge you $250. So you're not even getting fucked either. But so it'll be one of those situations where you're getting an armed guy driving you, dropping you, not standing around you like a bodyguard, and then you say to him, 11 o'clock, come fetch us. Mom and dad are a little bit jolly. If they got the kids with them, off they go. You know what? His mom and dad and kids have got to, let's say, Saints, and they've had a great shower, they've had a great jaw, and they've got home safe. And that's how that was started. And then we got the other side, Gabba.
So it's just before we get to Gabba. So are you saying that the driver that meets them in the armored car, so to speak, is packing and is like Sierra rated and is a professional, not a bodyguard, but a professional security, I don't know what you call it.
Driver. Yeah, security driver, yeah. We do have incidents. Listen, we look after Kendrick Lamar, Floyd Mayweather. We're looking after, what is it? It's like, anyway, we look after a whole lot of high-end Princess Charlene of Monaco. So we got a lot of high-end guys. That'll be different. Then we'll bring in the close protection team, where that'll be the Tarkies and all the rest of it and ourselves. And we'll set up a team. We'll bring Emergimed or Wayne from the Emergimed. He'll come in with these medical teams. No, so we can give you the whole bank shoot. We can give you the package. So you want a driver just to drop you and pick you up? No problem. You want a whole fucking team to follow you around because you Floyd Mayweather? No problem. We can do it. So it's all packaged around that. And you do get it. And if you want the car on a long lease and you don't want a driver, we also do that. So I've actually got a guy who's from the UK. He's got one of our X5s. He doesn't need a driver. He's quite happy. His threat is from home to work. He's one of these guys that's out there in the banking sector and the financial sector. And he just rents this X5 from us. So for like 4 months of the year, or sometimes 6 months of the year, he'll let us know he's coming in. Car will be there for him, hand it over, and off he goes. And he'll do a long-term rental or a long-term lease on the vehicle.
And these cars are graded to what? The B6 or I don't know what the gradings are, but it's like the one that stops at 308, one that stops at 9 mil. What are the ratings on those?
So our BMW's X5s are made by BMW, so they are VR6. So they can go to a certain bomb blast and a caliber and all the rest of it. Then SVR and MMR, they B6s or B4s. And then our trucks, we've got two major big ass trucks, Alpha Titan and Baby Titan, also B6, but they're completely armored. Those things are like fucking phenomenal. They're massive. They're 36 tons of trucks. The Baby Titan's actually the Iveco 4x4 Dakar chassis. So that thing will just fucking drive over anything and everything. And those vehicles are then used by certain institutions to move. We never know the amount, but we'll know the weight, move around. And then with that, we will put certain things in place. And we've even got Uber Air. We will put the chopper up for surveillance and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Really? Okay. Well,
Yeah. In our Bob's
when I'm
team,
rich.
yeah, in our Bob's team, we've got 3 pilots. I'm one of them. Well, I'm still a student pilot, but I've got my hours. And then we've got 2 other pilots that are fully vetted and all the rest of it. So yeah, great bunch
I
of
mean,
guys, the Bobs.
I'm so glad that you are successful, that you're making money, that you got all these businesses. I think it's fantastic, but it's also depressing. It feels a little bit like 1980s Medellin, Colombia, and Pablo Escobar's in charge, where it's just like pure chaos, and you are providing the order, and the order is maximal force or the potential of maximal force, and that's the sort of country we sort of living in at the moment. So, I mean, the opportunity is fantastic, and I'm sure you sort of thankful for that. But on the other hand, like, how fucked are we? Goodness.
No, we fucked, brother. Listen, the successful part, yes, successful. Why do I say it's a successful? Every day above ground's a good day. That's a success on its own in South Africa. You know, if I'm waking up this morning, fucking hell, boy, I'm fucking ready to go. Why? Because I'm alive. You know what I'm saying? The rich part, well, I wouldn't say that because these fuckers, that's a very expensive thing to run all this stuff. But what you just said now it is fucking depressing. And we say to every single person. In fact, I'll give you a perfect example to put it. Ian actually said it. So we were involved in quite a messy divorce. Not me personally. I was called in because it started getting a bit messy. And I remember Ian sitting both parties down with the other lawyer present. And he said, guys, the 2 of you are fighting. But let me tell you, myself, and I'm not going to say the other lawyer's name, and him, we're making the money. The more you fight, the more we make it. I'm taking your kids' university fees or whatever, and I'm giving it to my kid. And so is he. Find a common ground. Let's get this thing done and walk away. And it's exactly the same as what's happening in security. You're living in fear. You've got all these problems. Exactly what you said. It's fucking depressing, but. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, well, I've got a solution for you, but it's going to cost you. And that's why I said further on just now, when we look after an individual and there's a threat, we don't want to look after it out for the rest of our lives. But we get tired of them, they get tired of us. Somewhere along the line, we're going to clash and we're going to start fighting. So if we can find out what the common denominator and what the problem is, we'll try to sort that problem out. And then let him carry on his life and let us carry on with the next job. Because nobody wants to sit in the same fucking job for 10 years or 5 years. He doesn't want to wake up every morning, look out the window. There's fucking armed guys. There's a whole convoy of oaks taking his wife just to buy some fucking chicken or whatever it is. It's a fuck up. And that's exactly what you did. It's fucking depressing. But that depression is unfortunately a result of where we make money. And fear. And fear. Don't forget the fear factor. The fear, you'll be surprised how many guys, when you meet them and you look at them 6 months later, how badly they've aged. We were talking about this the other day. We've been looking after this one family for quite a while now. That Buddy's aged in 6 months, boss. He's aged fucked. Because every day he's fearing one of his daughters are going to get hurt, his wife's going to get hurt, or he's going to get hurt. Every single fucking day this wakes up with the stress. Is it today?
Yeah. I mean, thankfully you can assuage that in some senses, but yeah, no, it's. I think people really don't understand how far gone South Africa is in terms of crime, and not crime as in like real crime, like it's literally cartels in Mexico and Guatemala level of depravity we're facing here, and but hey, without people like you, it would be far worse. So, I mean, I think in order to end this podcast, I've taken up more than enough of your time. I think we should give thanks to someone like you and to the Bobs and whoever helps you and people in your industry who actually are a barrier to further degradation of society. And I'm sure you're doing your best, but sometimes it must really feel like, I mean, is it even worth it sometimes? Or is it always worth it, Brad? Tell us.
Brother, I'm going to be very honest with you. There's sometimes when we will, so obviously there's a certain group and we will be placed on a certain, and again, there's a colonel that I want to say that's a fucking champion. I don't want to say his name. Let me tell you, if we could have more colonels like this guy, we'd be living in a fucking, and the general that he reports to, But the general's obviously the guy at the top signing and just checking. But this colonel and this colonel's team, if we could have more of these guys, we would be great. So there's a big thanks out to that guy and what they do. But I can tell you, there's a certain group, and you just had a shower, you're just finished doing your thing, ready to force a little bit of horse, go to fucking bed and have a little sleep, and fuck it, there we go, on standby. And then you start thinking, oh, what excuse can I use to avoid it? And then you think back thinking, is it this the one that's going to be crazy? Is this the one where the Bobs are going to fucking need me? Or is this the one that you actually drag your ass out of bed and or whatever you're doing and you go? Okay, sometimes I do a lot of work in Dubai as well. So I'm not here, but we know the teams are here. And like I said, there's one of the guys is a professional boxer. Other guy's a lawyer. He might be in court. But it's not, it is sometimes that you just go, fuck. Again, and I promise you, brother, it's not like once in a blue moon that you get given you're on standby. I can tell you now, what's today? Today's Thursday, Friday. I'll be surprised if we're not put on standby anywhere between now and 8 o'clock tonight for something. Even just another group saying we need assistance somewhere else. That'll filter through, and this colonel, being the good guy that he is, will say, hey guys, here's a job. Who's available? Can you assist? And that's how it goes. Because he said one day, you might let that motherfucker go that he comes after your own family. Well, I'm lucky. I'm a singleton. I don't have family. Or comes after somebody I love, or somebody I know, or Bob's, or you, or whatever. Or an innocent fucking mommy at home. And then they said one job, we go, that fucker does something, and then we go, and afterwards, you can't undo what they've done. So if we can, we do it. If we can't, there's some things we can't do. You understand? We can't be everywhere at once, or you need some time out also. So yeah.
Yeah.
But the more groups that they can put together in the different areas, the better. Because then we could say, for instance, that we're in the Sandton, this area. We could say, all right, Bob 1, you there. Bob 2, Germiston. Bob 3, Edenvale. Bob 4, fucking Kempton. Bob 5, whatever. That'll be great. And I'm sure there are groups out there that do it. They're just maybe not as vocal or whatever. I can't tell you. But to all those oaks out there, the guy that put us in touch of Canine Reaper and all them, fuck, but those are incredible. They out there every single day, breaking their ass, sweating balls, doing that shit I won't do. I can tell you now for free. What Canine Reaper does is fucking big respect, because that shit I won't do. I won't be walking through human feces, fucking felts, and doing all that shit. You can forget it. Eskom it doesn't have enough money to pay me to do that job. But and that's big respect to him, to what he's doing.
Yeah. No, Cannon's a beast. He really is. Yeah, there's a lot of things I wouldn't do either. But hey, he exists, and he's a force for good as well.
Absolutely.
So, Brad, just to end off, do you want to be found on social media? If you do, please let me know. I'll link it down in the show notes below. Do you want people to find you?
Brother,
not really.
Brother, the Oaks, if they want, they can look. Anybody that follows Ian Cameron will know who I am, because I swear that we're Oak. And I want to make something very clear to everybody. I've got nothing personal against him. I just feel that he needs to be independent, and he needs to start thinking more about the Oaks on the ground and stop worrying about the fucking generals. Let the generals worry about the generals. Start helping the Oaks on the ground. Start helping that policeman that doesn't have a police van, that gets in his private car and drives to a complaint. Start helping that policeman that doesn't have bullets and has to go ask the security Oaks, hey, can you help me with 10 bullets or whatever it is? Start helping those fucking Oaks. Help the Oaks on the ground, which I'm sure he is doing. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but start helping those guys, because as soon as you start helping that, you're going to start helping the rest. We'll let's build from the bottom up. Forget about the fucking top. Half of them are nearly hitting their 60s or 65s or whatever it is to get retire. Leave them. Start now getting the general at the bottom. So by the time he gets to the top, and I'll make reference to General Matiba, that man started from the bottom. He's the best police commissioner we've ever had. Go Google and see if you can find one bit of dirt on that man. You can find fuck all, brother. That's why he got kicked out of it, because he started from the ground as a constable, and he worked the ranks. He worked with you. And so when he became the national commissioner, he had an understanding of what's going on. And that's what we need to do now. We need to educate the guys at the bottom. Look after the guys at the bottom, to look after the South African guy is at the bottom. Because right now we're all at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. Well, I mean, in defense of Ian Cameron, I do know him quite well. I don't know if we're friends, so to speak, but I think he does do what you recommend as well. And I think in politics, you have to sort of go for the big guys because the big guys maybe prevent the bottom guys from achieving what is needed to be achieved. I don't know. I don't speak to him on a daily basis, but I do think he's one of the good guys. But you know,
But
you have
brother,
your views. I do mine.
but is he a politician?
No, he is. Yes,
You know,
that's what happens.
he came from. I remember him coming from the Guguletu and the Cape Flats and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Fuck, no problem. He was on the ground. Maybe that's where the problems become. The fucking politician mentality. Fuck them for the politician mentality. He's now a very powerful person, chairperson of this portfolio committee that they're busy with. I can understand what you're saying about the generals and that, but for fuck's sakes, I don't know. It just makes me befucked. But well, it's one of those things.
Well, let's just say the portfolio committee holds the police to account. I don't know if they're able to really sort of effect any real changes. They just hold to account what the police do. So hopefully they hold them to account in the correct way as you prescribe. And I agree with you that the people on the ground, the police officers on the ground, of which I know quite a few, who've been in the police for 20 years, they haven't had a salary increase like in 4 years.
Rank,
Yeah, no ranking, and they really are. A lot of them are just feel so defeated because they get no support in terms of material, in terms of equipment, in terms of resources, psychological help, anything like that. It's a very shit place to be at. And if you want to be a good cop, it is not impossible, but it's very difficult to be a good cop these days. And the sooner we fix that, the sooner life will be better for a lot of people in this country.
no,
So I agree with you there.
they are. Yeah, you said it right, man. And there are a lot of good cops. You know, I don't want to paint everybody the same brush. There's brilliant cops out there. There's brilliant guys out there. But let's not lose them. And
Of
again,
course.
and I'm going to say it to you, and I'm going to say it to and I'm not picking on Ian Cameron or the fucking anybody else, but I'm going to say to you guys, I see a good cop out there, and I see somebody of value. I'm going to offer him a better deal. I'm going to get him out of the police. So you lose, I win, and the private sector wins. And that is where the problems come in. Why must I sit back and go, okay, well, let me keep quiet and let the other guys then come in and grab the sack? Not a fuckwit. I see quality sitting down. You see a hot chick. Hey, stand up, chest out. Hey, how are you doing? Same thing as this. I get excited, not that I'm saying sexy excited, but I get excited when I see a policeman dressed fucking well, boots are shine, uniforms there, parade, he's fucking on guard, he's on point. I'm going to offer that a job. I'm going to offer him an opportunity. And I know if I don't, the next oak next to me is going to. And that's basically where we've got to where we are today. Hence this little group of Bobs. We've got a solid team. When I meet you offline, I'll actually let you know. Or I've actually spoken to the team. Maybe one day they're prepared to do a podcast with you. That'll be a podcast on its own. Then
Yeah,
you'll
with
meet
pleasure.
the actual team and you'll see the caliber of people that the state has left, that has left the state, meaning they've now left looking after the normal South African to join our ranks, and you'll fall on your back foot.
Yeah. No, I can understand it. I'm also going to leave the state quite soon. And not that I'm the best thing under the sun, but I think I'm relatively competent. But, you know, people like us don't survive too long in the state. Brad, it's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing this. Sorry for taking a bit of time to get this thing going, but it's been a real pleasure to host you. I will leave your Twitter in the account, and I'll leave links to Armor Drive and maybe just Armor Drive at this stage.
Yeah. Listen. And if you're ever in Nasdaq, I've got a little bicycle shop called Saka Cycles. Pop in for a coffee. We'll give you some nice routes to go on and do your thing.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire a vehicle on Armor Drive and then drive over cyclists because I hate it. I'm not even joking. I hate cyclists. I hate cyclists.
So do it in Nasdaq so I can fix their bicycles afterwards.
There we go. That's a business idea right there.
There's another opportunity.
All right, Brad, thanks again for those watching. Thank you so much. We'll chat.
Thank you very much.
Cheers,
God bless everybody. Joe, bud.
All right, Brad, stay on.
Okay.